Welcome back to Philosophy Unpacked. Today, we're diving into a very challenging idea from Friedrich Nietzsche, where he takes on the concept of neighbor love.
That's a foundational moral principle to question. Love thy neighbor is something we're all taught. What exactly was Nietzsche's issue with it?
He argues that what we often call love for our neighbor is actually a poor substitute for loving ourselves, and it's often a way to escape our own lives.
An escape from ourselves? That's a fascinating and rather dark thought. How does helping someone else become a form of running away?
Nietzsche's point is that we often flee to our neighbor because we can't stand being alone, and we don't have sufficient love or respect for ourselves.
Precisely. We then try to frame this as a great virtue, calling it unselfishness, but Nietzsche believes he can see through that disguise to the weakness beneath.
That's a very critical perspective on human kindness. He also mentions that the thou is older than the I. What's he getting at there?
He's making a historical point that society has always prioritized the group, the other person, the thou, over the development and value of the individual self, or the I.
So we're just more conditioned to focus on others because we haven't really been taught how to cultivate and understand our own individual selves properly.
Exactly. The I has not been consecrated or held sacred. This is why he advises not neighbor love, but what he calls neighbor flight and furthest love.
Neighbor flight and furthest love? Those terms are quite poetic and abstract. What are we supposed to love if not the people immediately around us?
He suggests that we should love what is furthest and what is in the future. This means dedicating yourself to a higher ideal, a long-term goal, or the future potential of humanity.
So it's a call to shift our focus from seeking immediate, easy praise from others to pursuing a more challenging and meaningful long-term personal mission.
Yes, and he uses this incredible metaphor of a phantom that runs on ahead of you, which he says is more beautiful and ideal than your current self.
Okay, so this phantom is essentially my potential. It's the idealized version of the person I could become if I committed myself to my highest goals.
That's a perfect interpretation. He asks why you don't give your flesh and bones to that ideal instead of running to your neighbor for easy comfort and validation.
Well, because chasing a grand ideal is difficult and frightening, whereas getting a simple thank you from a neighbor is immediate and reassuring.
And that is his exact point. Because we can't endure ourselves, we seek to mislead our neighbor into loving us, and then we gild ourselves with their error.
He also says we call in a witness to speak well of ourselves. It's like we need an audience to ratify our own goodness before we can believe it.
It's a powerful critique of seeking external validation. Once you've convinced someone else you're good, you start to believe it, bypassing the hard work of actually becoming good.
This paints a pretty bleak picture of our social lives, suggesting that many of our interactions are based on a mutual need to avoid the feeling of being alone.
He states it plainly. Your bad love to yourselves maketh solitude a prison to you. People go to their neighbor either to find themselves or to lose themselves.
This is all very critical, but is there a positive alternative? Are we just supposed to become isolated hermits and ignore everyone around us?
No, and this is the most important turn in his argument. He doesn't teach us to reject people, but to seek the friend instead of the neighbor.
I'm relieved to hear there's a constructive path forward. So how does Nietzsche define a friend, and what makes them so different from a neighbor?
A neighbor is just a person of proximity. A true friend for Nietzsche is a festival of the earth and a foretaste of the Superman, or our highest potential.
So a friend isn't just someone who provides comfort, but rather someone who actively inspires you and embodies the very ideals you are striving toward.
That's it exactly. He calls the friend a creating friend who contains a complete world and has one to give away, helping you grow towards your own ideal.
It sounds like this friend is a true partner in that furthest love you talked about, someone who helps you love your own highest potential, your inner Superman.
Perfectly stated. In your friend, you are meant to love your highest potential as your motivation. The friend helps you see the world as a process of growth.
So in the end, Nietzsche's advice isn't to be antisocial at all. It's a call to reject shallow, need-based relationships for deep, growth-oriented friendships.
That's the core message. He advises against neighbor love as a trap of mediocrity and champions furthest love, a love for your potential, best realized with a true friend.